Oh, you can talk to Will the whole time if you want. I'm pretty happy not to say anything.
I'll give you a few ones.
Chris, is this your greatest moment in a long decade of career, Chris?
Yeah, probably it is. Like when you're the coach of an AFL team, you got to put up with a lot of scrutiny and a lot of pressure. And I suppose, yeah, for us, after this is my 8th year, for us to come from where we've come from 8 years ago to be able to do this today is a very special moment. So I've been able to share with these boys and all the staff that I've worked with and my family as well. So yeah, I'd probably say that.
And just the perseverance aspect of it, because you've had 6 years, you've been right up there on the precipice, which is about knocked through, and then finally, pretty much your 7th year being really up the top to get through. Does that make it even more satisfying? Just the resilience of it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's been a theme all year for us. We're in a lot of trouble at the halfway mark of the season, and we found a way to get ourselves back into the contest, and somehow or other we're here today. But I think for me personally, I never really thought. I know we've played finals the last 6 years, but last year was probably the first time I genuinely thought we had a chance to win it. I thought we were a developing team up until then. Last year was a big disappointment for us, but a day we were still proud of and that we learnt plenty from. And today we were able to put all those learnings into place and get ourselves a win and win a premiership. So that's how we've always approached things. We sort of keep trying to learn, keep trying to get better, and everybody at the footy club's embraced that, which I'm really proud of. And today they found out that if you do that, things can sometimes come your way. So good lesson in life for everyone, I think.
Just, I mean, and if we zone in on this season, you were 2-5. All the ACLs that you had, things were looking pretty grim, and you've ended up winning 14 of your last 16 games in the end. I mean, even by your own estimation, I know you're a very positive guy, but could you have envisaged this incredible run that you finished the season on?
No, not really. I was hoping that we might be able to recover well enough to sort of maybe finish somewhere in the bottom of the 8 and play a final. So we did a little bit better than I thought was possible. But the interesting thing is that crisis creates opportunity, and as terrible it is for those boys to have the ACLs, and they're all wonderful club men and popular boys, it opened the door for a lot of young players to get some opportunity. And what we found out is those young players, including this bloke here sitting next to me and quite a few others, on the big stage today, they produced, and they have done from the moment they got into the team. So I think that credit for that should go to our recruiters. They find these boys, but I think the culture that the players have created at the club to make all the young players feel welcome very, very quickly, that's helped as well, and they should take a lot of credit for that.
I guess I also had time thinking, 44 down in the semi, 25 down in the prelim, 3 consecutive interstate trips to win the flag. Have you had time to process just the enormity of that achievement, or is it still like raw, I guess?
I guess we never really thought about it, to be honest. I mean, my coach's mind, I thought, gee, are they going to be able to do it for a 3rd week in a row? Will we have the energy? But I never thought about it much after Tuesday, because when I came into the club, the boys just had so much energy and they've been up and about all week. So I didn't come into today's game thinking that we wouldn't be able to, go the distance. Our fitness guys have obviously done a great job. I think we kept things pretty light-hearted around the club as well, so we could keep the energy in the group. Because, the other thing that's hard about being an interstate club is you travel a lot. And, there's an accumulative fatigue associated with that. So we've done 11 home and away games and another 3 finals, and turned up on the big day and had a lot of energy. So there's a lot of people that could take the credit for that, but mostly the players.
Will's 30 games in, in the heat early in the game, his first dozen possessions all hit targets. Can you talk about how he's managed to get himself into that position after coming back from the ACL?
Well, Will's an incredibly hard worker, and I can't take any credit for the footballer that he is. He's made himself to be the man and the footballer that he is by all the hard work he's done from I don't know, because I didn't know him when he was 12, but I figure he's probably done a lot of work over the years to be the player that he is now. And, we were just so devastated for him and for us last year when he got hurt, because we knew how good he was and could be, come finals. And the pleasing part about it is he's got back into the team halfway through the season after doing an incredibly good rehab. And it wasn't a rehab that was just straightforward. There were a few complications at times that sort of delayed him a little bit, but put him straight back in. And he was a bit scratchy for a few weeks, but it didn't take long for him to find his form. And he's been building for a few weeks now, and today was the accumulation of all that hard work.
Well, can you sort of talk to, firstly, the devastation of obviously missing a grand final last year, which was such a narrow loss, and you thought to yourself you could have probably made the difference in a way, and then 12 months later, you won a Norm Smith. Can you sort of just talk us through the gamut of emotions in the last 12 months for yourself?
Yeah, it's hard to put into words. I think last year, all I wanted to ever do coming into the AFL was play in finals and win finals and play in premierships. And to miss out last year and have to watch the boys, make it all the way through, but then obviously fall short was devastating. And in my mind, I always knew the rehab was 10, 11 months. So coming back at the back half of the year was a realistic proposition. And then I've just set myself since then for that to build. And as Fake said, the first sort of month was tough. Like you're sort of grinding and trying to find your feet again, which is just part of it, I guess. But then once I got through that hurdle and just set myself, once you made finals, like I feel like I've been building for this moment. And in my mind, I've been building for this moment last pre-season. Or when we lost on this day last year, I've been thinking about it since then. So ultimately, just make the grand final again and win it. It's hard to put into words, and I can't believe I'm here, or we're here, to be honest.
Just the confidence, you're such a young kid, but the confidence to just go out on the biggest stage and just perform the way you've done it. You've obviously shown that through the regular season, how easy you find the top level, but have you almost surprised yourself in a way how incredibly well you've performed on the biggest stage of them all so early into your career?
I'm not sure if I've surprised myself because, as I said, I've set myself for this, and as Fake said, since I was 12, potentially, I've just been. This is what I always wanted to do. Follow behind what Dad did and perform on the big stage, and my whole rehab was set up that way in my mind. And as I said, to make it here and actually do it is another thing, and I can't quite believe that, but I always had the belief that I could come in whenever that was through the home and away season and build to this moment. And it's not just about me, it's about everyone. And we've had ups and downs this year as a team, and everyone just found their feet, and we stuck to what we believed in as a footy club. And as I said, it's come to fruition, but it's hard to put into words.
Chris, that second quarter, you're up by a goal, and I think Fox kicked that goal, and you kicked 6 straight. What sort of turned it, do you feel, at that point?
Sorry?
What sort of turned the game in that second quarter?
I thought it was a combination of Sydney early in the game were on top at contested possession and were winning clearance. That turned, and the other thing that went up was our pressure. Coming into the finals, I think the 5 or 6 weeks leading up to the final starting, our pressure hadn't been all that good, was probably a weakness, and we talked about the idea that we could turn pressure into a secret weapon for us because we hadn't been doing it all that well. And across the course of the finals, our pressure's been enormous, and our better quarters in finals have all been, we've scored heavily. And, we talked about that at quarter time, and we got a lift in that area. And I think we won that quarter by 38 points or something like that. And that's sort of, if you track us through the finals, you'll notice that every time our pressure's been up, we've scored heavily. So I'll put it down to that.
Just in that second quarter, obviously you're part of that midfield group. The pressure was up. The centre clearance domination just went through the roof as well. What was the feeling like amongst the group? Did you feel like you had these guys? Did you have them? Is that when you the first moment of the game you thought you had these guys?
Potentially, at quarter time, that's what we spoke about, those two things, and we went to work on them and made that our focus as a group. And once we started getting on top, the belief was there, absolutely. The communication as a midfield group and across all lines was at all-time high, I think, since I've been back playing. We just felt so connected, and it was showing in how we were playing our footy. So, I think we sort of took that momentum we had and just tried to, go for as long as we can and keep that connection, communication going. And that led to the centre clearances and ultimately getting the reward on the scoreboard.
That's a percentage where you think Lachie Neale was at fitness-wise, because not only today was he so good on the inside, but he was really impactful on the outside as well. I feel like one of the games this season where he found more space than he possibly had previously in the year. How close was he to full fitness in the end?
Oh, without the help of a painkilling injection, nowhere near full fitness. But Lockie's been doing that for the last probably 10 weeks. Hasn't been able to train much early in the week, gets himself up for games. It's obviously, it's progressively got a little bit worse. He was pretty sore after the final last week, but he's an incredibly tough human being, Lockie Neal, and so he came out and performed at a very, very high level today, as did Eric Hipwood. I mean, Eric's, not as prolific as what Lockie is, but Eric hurt himself in the Sydney game. I think it was back in about round 19, and he's sort of been carrying an acute case of osteitis pubis since he's been back in the team. So incredibly brave for him to go out there and play and contribute. He's another one who hasn't trained much during the weeks, but we're able to get him up for game day, and I think he might have copped a little bit of flack about his form in a couple of the finals, but I suppose the good thing about when you win is I can actually come in here and tell the truth about what he was actually doing, and he's putting the team before himself to get out there and play, and so proud of the effort that he's made as well.
Lockie said something had snapped, I think, in his foot.
Yeah, he came off the ground, said something. He felt like something snapped in his foot. I guess we'll find out during the week. He was pretty determined to go back on.
Was the heel injury something, though, if you'd been at the foot of the ladder, you would have just shut him down halfway through the season? Or?
No, it's a plantar fascia injury that needs a bit of work done to it once the season's over. He'll be fine, but it's just awkward and difficult and painful, and blows up after a game.
You just talk us through the performances of Kai and Callum, both 4 goals each in a grand final. They were just so influential. Just talk a bit about how they performed today.
Yeah, although they were the beneficiaries of a lot of good work done upfield, and the fact that we've got a dangerous forward line. Opposition teams, they'll focus in on Joey or they'll focus in on Charlie, and those two boys who are very, very talented sort of get out of the loop, and they were able to do that today. They've both been very important players for us during the finals. I mean, Kai's obviously is a precocious young talent with a very extroverted personality who doesn't mind a celebration or two, and Cal's career's been a slow burn. He's a high draft pick. He's probably played his best football for us this year. He came to me at the start of the season and said, I think I can play my best football in the forward line, and at that point in time I didn't know how I was going to get him in there, and anyway we got the opportunity to do that on the back of injuries to Link McCarthy, and he hasn't looked back, and he's been a huge performer for us in this final series, and all credit to him because he's a quiet guy, just goes about his business, really good family man, and the footy world, I think maybe he's played about 150 games by now, but his last 20 have been his best.
How about Darcy Ford's performance today, coming in after obviously those horrible circumstances for McInerney, but played a pretty big role for him today?
Yeah, we were all really confident that Darcy would be able to do that. I mean, he's a little bit unlucky. If he was at another club, he's probably playing a little bit more football, but he's a great club man. He's a guy that, whenever we've asked him to come in and play a role, he's been able to do that really well across the course of the years, and we knew that with Footy we had a good replacement for O. The players have a lot of trust in him. He's one of those guys, he's a team first player. When he plays in the reserves, he's almost like a playing coach out on the field. There's been many a times this year where I've had to say to him, listen mate, you're not going to be able to play this weekend, you're the travelling emergency, because if O gets hurt in the captain's run or the warm-up, we need you to replace him. So I'm not sure how many games he's played this year, but it's probably about 10, and I always feel bloody awful going and saying it to him, because players just want to play, and he always takes it on the chin and handles it in the right way. And as sad as I am for O today that he didn't get to play, I'm incredibly pleased for him that he did get that opportunity, and he's now a Premiership player. So I think all of our players would feel the same way about that. It's a long answer, sorry. But
I'm getting Zorko up on stage. How much has he meant to the club over his time there?
yeah, I was when I first went to bed last night, I thought, if we're lucky enough to win it today, I want to find a way to get Zorks up there with Harrison Lockie to hold the cup up. He sort of became captain pretty early in my time. I think about early in my second year. Dane Beams was struggling a little bit with injury and so on, and he stepped down from the captaincy, and really Zorks was the only person that could step up, and his energy and his enthusiasm helped the group get going, and he'd been our captain up until last year, and I just wanted to recognise that, because he's played a huge part in what we've been able to do today. It's been a fairly long-winded process. It's taken us 8 years, but he's been enormous in all that. And he's an interesting choice as a captain, but I just needed a guy that could bring energy and that was an optimist. And because it was a pretty tough time for our footy club, and he bought all of that, and he's played a huge part in getting us to where we are today.
Obviously, just a couple of years ago, you had one of the worst moments in your career with the breaking of that story, the Hawthorn situation, and 2 years later to find yourself in this situation with the Premiership. Can you sort of just talk about your emotions on the lows and the highs in the space of 24 months for yourself?
Yeah, I suppose I haven't had, to be honest with you, I haven't had too many lows. I've had a terrific football club that have got around me, and they know the person that I am, and they've never had any doubt in me, and neither have the players. And I've had a great family as well, and a good batch of friends, and I felt fairly comfortable all the way through, to be honest. I don't think I'm anything special, but pretty tough time, I guess, especially when it all first came out and things are being said about you. But I'm just very grateful for everyone who's got in my corner and looked after me.
We've seen the last two premiers not make the finals the following season. Do you feel what you were able to achieve at Hawthorn and know what's required to stay at the top, keep up?
Sorry, I'm having trouble with that noise out there.
We've seen the last two premiers not make the finals the following year.
Yeah.
Do you feel your experience at Hawthorn will help keep the Lions at the top for the next few years?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, you've got to get back to work, and you've got to stay grounded and not get too carried away, and that's always the big challenge after you win one, because it's pretty intoxicating winning an AFL Premiership. But yeah, I think I can use some of the things I learned at Hawthorn from Clarko and Hodgie as well, to get the group going again. I think they'd be pretty motivated to have that feeling again. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we're ready to roll.
Will?
I'm ready for pre-season.
So we'll work on that. We'll enjoy what we've done this season for a little while, but we will get back to work, and hopefully next year we can turn up an even better version of ourselves from all the experiences that we've had. I don't know. I heard someone mention that to me when I got interviewed just after the game, and that's the first I've heard of it. So I'm not going to comment on that. I don't know whether there's any truth in it or not. So I guess if there is, you'll all find out at some point in time, but I certainly don't know anything about it at the moment. Thanks, guys.
Beautiful.
Thanks for the year.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
guys.